I'd like to begin by thanking committee members for their time today and those who were able to come to the site visit to the application in question. I'll be referring several times to Planning Policy Wales Edition 11, the Welsh Government document outlining their formal guidance for making planning decisions. I brought a copy here with highlighting that I will leave with members if they wish to check my references to that document. In this speech, I'm going to focus on three areas: public housing, amenity value, and access to site. Firstly, I want to address public housing. We are in a housing crisis, putting what is likely to be vulnerable people at the bottom of a hill where many other planning applications have tried to put private housing is, in my opinion, a cynical ploy to dispose of land that is fundamentally unsuitable for houses of any type. There is no good public interest here, and if the conditions were not suitable before now for non-public private housing, why would we think of applying different lower standards for those who need housing the most? There is no evidence and guidance to do so with this site. It is outside the scope of this committee, but I will happily tell members far better places in my ward for social housing that don't have the multiplicity of issues that this site does. You must make your decision today with just as much regard for granting or refusing the application as you would if they were proposing to build a £10 million private mansion on the site. Now, I want to speak in detail about the land's amenity value. Members who were there on Monday saw that the public pathway through the wood is just that, through a wood. Tarmacking over it, removing a substantial amount of trees. I note the tree officer's objection. Putting up streetlights will have an unavoidable adverse effect on the landscape. As this is true, section 6.3.4 of the guidance makes it clear that in this instance it will be necessary to refuse planning permission. And certain members observed the great amount of community interest in the visit and the people here today. To reiterate, over 2,000 people signed the petition, the vast majority of Danescourt households. I think it's also important to emphasise the word's amenity value for future generations. Danescourt Primary School, my alma mater, uses the space on a regular school day basis, and it was children who set up, during the pandemic, with their parents' assistance, a fairy walk through the woods. This was placed along the pathway that the application is proposing to turn into a tarmac road, ripping up trees along the way. These are not just emotive words. Page 71 of the document, 4.5.3, formal and informal green spaces should be protected from development, particularly in urban areas where they fulfil multiple purposes. Then 4.5.5, planning authorities should protect playing fields and open spaces which have significant amenity or recreational value to local communities from development. KP5 of Cardiff's current local development plan, the heading of which is all new development will be required to be of a high quality, sustainable design and make a positive contribution to the distinctive communities, places and spaces by, point 10, ensuring that no undue effect on the amenity of neighbouring occupiers and connecting positively to surrounding communities. As a side note, I would also argue that this development goes against just in KP5, point 1, point 3, point 5, point 7, point 8 and point 11, but I am mindful of time. This land, as my ward colleague will later show, does not just comprise an informal open green space, but was formally recognised as such when Danescourt was developed. I know I'm hammering the point here, but this will fundamentally damage in a way that cannot be mitigated a vital space that is of significant amenity value to my residents, so should be refused. I'd like to finish by reiterating the access issue from two directions. The easiest and most direct foot route out to the proposed estate is through Radacourt Road up Spooky Lane, a road that is not lit and can be absolutely dark at night. The road leading up to Danescourt is steep, has an access gate across it. People will try to use the fastest and least suitable route. To pretend otherwise is not to be honest, and we must continue with that as the principal pedestrian route. On the other side, as the committee would have seen, Debré is close as a narrow road with a tight bend with parking at both sides. It's odd that highways don't have a view, yet the report suggests a mitigation of TROs to aid access. There have been almost no comments from highways on the access road to the site that's via a road that's narrower by almost 2 metres. If our basic council bin wagons struggle to get down Debré as close, I'd urge committee members to think of the situation where one tries to get through this new road and a car is coming the other way. If TROs and double yellow lines are needed, then there is an access issue, and one that, based on the documents, won't have its costs covered by a developer. The issue of access fundamentally throws into doubt any idea that this will ever be a suitable road in the first place, leaving alone the destruction of the environment that it will cause. It is a bad road in a bad place that has real potential to get snarled up, blocking residents in on a daily basis. If you do rely on a car to get into work, all these properties have car spaces. What happens when your only way to get to work gets blocked by somebody coming the other way or parking there, as I said, on a daily basis? Does that feel like part of a community to build a life from, or a place to justifiably blame when you get fired? I cannot see a reason why committee members would approve this today. I ask you reject it on the grounds that I've outlined and the arguments made by others. I do not think there is any ambiguity here. Thank you for your time very much.